Some construction projects done by a U.S. military contractor in Africa was so badly carried out that buildings collapsed. Micheline Pollock was CEO of Dover Vantage, which won contracts from the Army Corps of Engineers and Navy Facilities Engineering Command between 2011 and 2018. She's now being charged with fraud for allegedly faking quality control on the projects. For more on this, we speak now to Professor Anthoni van Nieuwkerk, Director at the Center and Defense and Security Management at Wits University. Always a pleasure being in conversation with you. A very good afternoon to you. That this can happen tells us what?
It tells us firstly that the defense industry is deeply entrenched in corruption and collusion. And the second lesson is that if we outsource our peace and security on the continent to outsiders, or even worse, allow outsiders to come and give peace and security to us by hiring external contractors, in this particular case, Americans, then we're in trouble, because there's no way that we can exercise control, quality control and oversight over what it is that these defense contractors are building in our name, in small countries in West Africa.
Why is it that we are not able to exercise quality control over these projects? Surely if we take these projects out and we give it to them, we should be able to want and need accountability.
Well, I mean, probably one of the big lessons of 2020 and state capture is this question of how do you exercise proper management and control so that your state or your bureaucrats or your service providers are not captured and made corrupt by these outside forces. And so in our particular case in Africa, when it comes to building the defenses against terror, and those who want to harm us, criminal gangs and so on, we are really on our own, whether it's through the AU or the Southern African Development Community, or on national level, the police and the defense force and our intelligence services, to provide the necessary backup to make sure that we are protected as citizens and as companies and as countries against those who mean us harm. And there are many bad people out there in the world. Now, what is happening is when there's a vacuum, when countries or governments are unable to do so, maybe they are poor, maybe there's a fragile state, maybe there's been a civil war, maybe there's been an economic collapse, then typically what happens, outsiders come and they fill the vacuum for two reasons. The one is they can make some money off our backs, and secondly, they think that the threat in that country or in that region, in this case West Africa, of violent extremism might spill over into Europe or into North America. So they come and occupy parts of our continent, and they put up these military bases, and they give them names like humanitarian assistance, training facilities. But you and I know behind the scenes that this is not really what we want, because they do this for their own selfish national interest.
Absolutely do it, but not even do it well. So do you perceive that this was an isolated incident, or is this something that persists on the continent? We're just not privy to it.
I mean, Dudu, that's a difficult question to answer. I think it's in the interest of the Europeans, the Americans, the Chinese, the Indians, almost every country in the world with some power and influence have a presence in Africa, because we are, as you know, we are rich in natural resources. People want stuff from us. It's in their interest to have a professional service on the ground. And so when it collapses, or when a service provider, a contractor, builds a substandard hangar and the thing collapses, we will, as Africans, will be the last ones to know about this, because this is the business that they have to take care of back home. So in this case, in America, there's an anti-corruption program run from California, and the Americans probably are blushing a bit because it doesn't look too good. So they make sure that when they put military bases and these kinds of equipment on the ground in Africa, that it works reasonably well. And they do make partnerships with us in many cases. But I must emphasize that it's in the last instance up to us our governments and our citizens to control that agenda that says the guns must fall silent in our lifetime. It was 2020, but I'm changing that to our lifetime.
Absolutely. I mean, some of the allegations include submitting fraudulent quality control plans and included resumes of fictitious employees, certified quality control work that was never performed at a maternity ward and a school for the deaf in Togo, just one example. So apparently she's awaiting extradition. Do we have hope that justice will be served here and that indeed she will come to our shores and face justice?
No chance. This is the business of these outsiders who have a military presence which they hide behind humanitarian or other kinds of assistance. And we will be the last to hear whether those who do wrong, those substandard contractors, are taken to task. I would even say, you know, it's up to the our colleagues in the African Union and our regional organizations to actually build up a capacity to challenge these foreign services who have a military presence on the continent, to find a way. And I think our parliaments also have a role to play. You know, we have regional parliaments. There's even a Pan-African parliament in Midrand. And I would say to the PAP, how come you don't look into this matter more closely and demand oversight over those who bring external, you know, military resources to our continent?
Which begs then the question, what of these bodies that we have that have so much power but yet are not exercising it? You rightfully mentioned the parliament that is right here in Midrand, but it would seem as if we are blind to all of this, or it's unbeknown to us?
No. So I don't think we're naive. I think we do know. I mean, you know, we know that AFRICOM, for example, the American military presence called AFRICOM, there's about 7,500 troops spread over the continent. The French have a similar number. The Chinese are bringing, the Indian are bringing, the Russians are present. The Russians are in Mozambique, where they were trying to quell, you know, the uprising or the militancy in Cabo Delgado, and they got a blood nose. So we know about this, and why is it that the PAP or the AU or our own parliament or government doesn't do enough about this? I'm afraid to say, maybe it's controversial and I must count my words, but you know, the weapons and the arms industry and the defense industry is marked by corruption and fraud. So tenders are issued, monies are paid, fees are transferred, equipment is purchased, and it's not the stuff that we necessarily need or want in our countries. And so people do turn a blind eye for financial reasons.
It is such a pity, but also what is a pity is that that's all we have time for this afternoon. Professor Anthoni van Nieuwkerk, always a pleasure chatting to you, Director at the Center for Defense and Security Management at Wits University.